Well, there's an awful lot of illegals coming in by the hundred, by the thousands. Our people are not only in some of the crews where there's now strike breaking, coming in by the thousands, just unbelievable. See, they're coming in with the consent of the Immigration Service, which is part of the Department of Justice. How else could they come? We, for instance, know that if you go to Coachella, you go to around the El Paso area, the secondary immigration checkpoints have been unmanned now for at least 3-4 weeks. They're closed. They're at night. They're dark. There aren't any patrolmen there. It's a gimmick. We think that it's a prelude at the beginning to a big drive on the part of the administration and the Mexican government. It's a vicious attack on the local worker, and it's just one of those things that agribusiness thinks they can get away with it. And our job is to inform the whole country what's happening, together with a boycott, and solve it that way. See, it's a way of breaking the strike. It's a way of demoralizing the farm workers. It's laid us off because either because we're strikers, or because we're members of the union, or because the braceros, the illegals will do the job for half the money we're getting. It's a gimmick.
Lobbying, at its core, is simply the act of trying to convince those in power to pass or eliminate legislation, and from regular people to huge corporations, anyone can try. In some countries like the US, there's a way to do so legally because as of the 15th of December 1791, the right to petition the government for redress of grievances is protected by the First Amendment.
Lobbying is an age-old profession that dates back to when the Constitution was created. Experts claim the framers included the practice intentionally to make sure no one interest group became too powerful. The ability of individuals, groups, and corporations to lobby the government was therefore protected by the right to petition in the First Amendment.
Most notorious and crooked lobbyist of our time. He was at the center of a massive scandal of brazen corruption and influence peddling. As a Republican lobbyist starting in the mid-1990s, he became a master at showering gifts on lawmakers in return for their votes on legislation and tax breaks favorable to his clients. He was so good at it, he took home $20 million a year. It all came crashing down 5 years ago when Jack Abramoff pled guilty to corrupting public officials, tax evasion, and fraud, and served 3.5 years in prison. In our interview tonight, he opens up his playbook for the first time and explains exactly how he used his clients' money to buy powerful friends and influence legislation.
I was so far in it that I couldn't figure out where right and wrong was. I believed that I was among the top moral people in the business.
That was, you're now saying, was corrupt.
Yes.
Can you quantify how much it costs to corrupt a congressman?
The Idiot's Guide to Buying a Congressman as a way to put this all down. But
and the congressman or senator could take his favorite people from his district to the
congressman or senator could take 24 of his favorite people from their district.
Was all that legal?
We would certainly try to make the activity legal, if we could.
It's a gimmick.
You know, when you're done working on the Hill, we'd very much like you to consider coming to work for us. Now, the moment I said that to them, or any of our staff said that to them, that was it. We owned them. And what does that mean? Every request from our office, every request of our clients, everything that we want, they're going to do.
How many congressional offices did you actually own?
100 offices at a time. What we did was we crafted language that was so obscure, so confusing, so uninformative, but so precise to change the U.S. Code. The corruption, the bribery, call it.
Okay.
Because ultimately that's what it is. That's what the whole system is.
The whole system's bribery?
In my view.
Lobbying is an age-old profession that dates back to when the Constitution was created. Experts claim the framers included the practice intentionally to make sure no one interest group became too powerful.
It's a gimmick.
You pay for lunch as long as you stand up.
Well, it's actually worse than that. You can't take a congressman to lunch for $25 and buy him a hamburger or a steak or something like that, but you can take him to a fundraising lunch and not only buy him that steak, but give him $25,000 extra and call it a fundraiser and have all the same access and all the same interaction with that congressman.
We think that it's a prelude at the beginning to a big drive on the part of the administration and the Mexican government. It's a gimmick.
Was this insight. It changed your whole context. And it happened in a group with other people who were experiencing the same thing. So you felt validated, you didn't feel crazy anymore, and you knew that really what you were saying and feeling was the truth.
Personal history was significant. And that's where the phrase, the personal is political, came from.
And that connection of realizing that the personal is political and therefore justifies political action